Um, and like you just never know what topic may arise, even though the topic for today is the Hispanic paradox, which is something that somebody in my life suggested. I'm really sorry. I don't want to say the person's name and get it wrong, but thank you to whoever did because I hadn't heard of this, even though it's been around since 1968. That is when researchers first really identified that they saw the Hispanic population in comparison to whites and blacks in the US, this is in the United States of America, tended to live longer. And at first, okay, I should say the actual lifespans because you might be curious. For now, white people, our life expectancies. Hi, how are you doing, TWC? Hi, Matt, how are you? The life expectancies for white people is 76 to 81, a male, female, black 71 to 78, and then Hispanic people, their life expectancy is 78, 83. Now, Asian Americans, they have an even higher life expectancy, but I guess they don't look at that as a paradox because the reason why they are like, wow, this is kind of odd is because it's in spite of Hispanic communities tending to have less health insurance, less access to health screenings, and other like things that they just thought like they shouldn't have the better outcomes comparatively, but they do. And initially, it was attributed to certain theories like the salmon theory. Like a lot of people that migrate here end up going back home to when they pass away. And that's not true. Um, well, now there's plenty of channels that do talk about Jesus Christ. I'm glad you've been good, TWC. And they wanted to attribute it possibly to just healthier people tend to be the ones to migrate, period. But that also has been proven to be untrue. And now they have also noticed that once these Hispanic people assimilate to the US culture, once they like, I'm assuming this means the standard American diet as well as just the social norms. Once they assimilate, their life expectancy goes down. So it absolutely could be said it's attributed to things like their diet and social customs. And there's something they call the Berea effect. No, I cannot roll my R's. I just can't. That is, this only happens in Hispanic communities. This isn't going to be true of a lone Hispanic person that goes and moves somewhere where they are like the vast minority. Hispanic people overall are the biggest minority in our country. And so that is all and interesting to me that they actually get a lower life expectancy and like people will, try to tell you you're crazy and crunchy if you care about diets and things like GMOs. And so we'll get into the actual dietary measures that play into this. I'm doing pretty good. Hi, Faisal Saeed. I, I hope I'm saying that somewhat right. I have been a little wiped out, but that's to be expected, but I'm not complaining. So, beans are one reason they think that the diet plays into this. Beans are anti-inflammatory, as well as corn and rice. So, around the world, in a lot of populations, they seem to have less CAN, CER than communities that don't eat as much. Hispanics are 10% of the population here and eat one third of the rice. So that's like, 33% ish of the rice, but they are only 10%. They also eat more fruits and vegetables than the average American. And this is not to say that their diet is perfect. They actually eat less fruits and vegetables than what is recommended, which is 9 servings a day. They eat around 7. And this is all very general, right? We're going to get into like statistics and just the idea of who to trust. Yeah, their diets aren't perfect. But they still have heart disease as a number one cause of death. However, they are half as likely to get it than their white counterparts. Super interesting. And let me see. Of course, the social traditions also are thought to attribute like community and family support is much stronger. This will like even if you have less health insurance, like when you are in any kind of situation, whether it's illness or financial trouble, anything that maybe somebody's rough spot in their life, like when you have family and community there to rally around you, everything is going to be easier and better. And like they have said that their life expectancy went down 3 years around COVID. And I would wonder, did everybody's? But of course, stress, mental health. plays greatly into all of this. And I believe I've said, like, these are the facts that are out there about Hispanic Paradox. There's lots of YouTube content, um, dating back, 10 years and more even. Hi, Isaiah. How are you doing? I'm glad you're doing okay. Face up. No, I am not a professional dietitian. Not it. No. I do know a lot about diets, but I'm not an expert and I'm not giving it any advice. Definitely not any medical or clinical or dietary advice. But legumes are great for you. That's beans, peas, and lentils. And I personally make lentils about once a week. Now, every once in a while, I back off because like eating the same thing every single week, but like they can be made in so many different ways. They're very, very cheap. They're so good for you. Beans and rice are a complete protein, meaning you have all the essential amino acids. So it like it's one of the few plant-based complete proteins I know of that's so widely used. Correct me if there's any other combinations that are the same. I just know like rice and beans are so great, and especially in these hard times, we could all eat more rice and beans. And if you don't like them, you need to like maybe like try a different kind of bean, a different kind of rice. Try them cooked different kinds of ways. There's so many ways to do it. And I understand sometimes it's the sensory thing, and like, God bless you if it's that. But I Okay, so and we also know they just have tighter knit families, right? Like they tend to have bigger families. They stick together once again when they are in communities with lots of Hispanics. This is when all of these factors come together and make for a higher lifespan, despite being more poverty stricken. They are becoming as obese as the rest of us as Americans. They do smoke less, but they exercise less than the people that they have a higher life expectancy than. This is all just general, very, very general. And like, how do you know what statistics to trust? Bill Gates recommends a book, How to Lie with Statistics. Excuse me, I kind of want to take a drink of my sparkling water. I'm sorry. I hate taking drinks on camera, especially when it's a can. I don't know. But I don't want to sit here and just like shit talk, but I also wanna say, like, I do wonder because there's a lot of people paint this rosy picture. You know me, I have to come in and be like, "There everybody's just people." Like, it's not all rainbows. There's a lot of misogyny. There's a lot of machismo culture. There's a lot of young girls getting pushed out of the home and sold to men twice their age. And I'm just saying, like, there is that as well. So kind of have to like balance it out. And I also wonder, is part of their tightness communities like can they cope better with all of that too? Because they're saying that they think that they have like less mental health thing, but that like they just have less access. So it would make sense, like they say there's like less autistic people diagnosed in Africa or in Amish communities. It's like, yeah, but they also like get evaluated much less. You have to take that into consideration. So, anyways, uh, classifications of people have changed over the years. I will get into the chat after I'm done with my notes, which is going to be soon. I don't really say my sign. And when people ask me to talk about other things, I'm not trying to be rude, but like you can look up the thing you're asking me to talk about in the chat. It's kind of lentils with bacon, Tim said. That would definitely be a complete protein if that's what you're saying. I am not Indian, no. I am one quarter Colombian. I actually just found my sister just told me in her DNA, because I have never gotten a DNA test, but my sister is 13% native. So I thought she told me it was something like 3%. So I don't know for certain. I know like just because my sister's 13%, even though we have the same parents, like that. Am I stupid for saying that? Can't they express themselves slightly differently? Like, um, I'm gonna consider myself about 13%, and the most of that was South and Central American, but some of it is North. At what level rice and beans play a role in fertility? Well, I would say less inflammation will help with any and everything you can think of, including fertility. Rice and beans cause me to elevate off the ground when I fart. They make stuff for that. They make it like anti-gas. They even have it in all sorts of forms. Like I have this like, natural healthy tablet. It's like this chalky tablet that it's called Good Belly from Amazon, I believe. some dude on YouTube or some short form videos really push the benefits of beans. Yeah, and they're super easy to grow. They're kind of easy. They're an easier crop to save, in my opinion. To you can dry them. There's this thing called cowboy leather, where some kinds of beans you dry the whole pods, and like it's just super easy. You just string the pods on a string, dry them out, and they're good for a long time. Hey, Yoder, how are you doing? Broccoli is really good also. Yes, Warbird. There's some people, cruciferous vegetables, don't digest well. They have to cook them, but broccoli has a lot of, I don't know what it is, DIM. It's a very good hormonal balancing. Once again, this is not, DIM is very popular. Broccoli supplements are very popular with PCOS. So, if you're still in here, Maria, it's basically Latin people, Hispanic people in the US have a higher life expectancy than their black and white counterparts. Their life expectancy is 78 to 83, whereas the white people are 76 to 81 and black people are 71 to 78. And the reason why this is considered a paradox is because comparatively, they have worse access, they have less health insurance, they are more impoverished overall. So because of those factors, they consider it a paradox that they have a higher life expectancy. And I can't do beans at all, a texture thing, but I can eat split pea soup all day, every day. Oh, that's good. I'm glad you can have that kind of legume. I love split pea soup too, Anna. Oh my goodness. Um, that's one of those things that I could have as a staple for sure, and eat it at least once a month. Well, real capper, I have a bunch of white in my hair. It's actually very, very dark brown and auburn. It's not really black. It's funny, my whole life people like made, I shouldn't say this, but kids, being kids would make fun of me for having black hair in this German town. Now there's like half of the population speaks Spanish and they're separating the school system to half English speaking, half Spanish speaking because there's so many kids that speak Spanish. But anyways, then I dyed my hair black, and when I actually showed people what black hair really is, it was funny. Obama, America's greatest. Okay. I am from the US and I live in Kentucky. I did live in Florida. And I thought about making it a lighter brown because, last time I put dark red over it. Now I need to let it grow out. I've only dyed it once in 15 years, and I really don't even care that much about my white hair. It sucks to put dye all over your hair for like a little bit of white hair when I don't want to do that to my whole hair. So classifications have changed. I can attest to this as somebody who is one fourth Hispanic. When I was growing up, there was literally no box for me for a long time. It was white, non-Hispanic, was the option, and then Hispanic, non-white, like non-Caucasian. They didn't have, and I always wondered that, like, it has to be pretty common to be both. In why, and there'd be all these other ethnicities that I feel like there might be even less of. And I'm just saying this like in a honest way. I don't mean, I know some, please don't. And then I noticed just in the past few years, they finally started making a box that was Hispanic and white mixed just in the past few years. And I just wonder how this attributes to statistics. In the last census, I believe there was something that was so specific. It was even specific enough for my husband, who is part native from Mexico. And that, like, wasn't a thing for a long time? And, more people should learn Spanish. Well, I see, I have mixed feelings about it. Honestly, my children weren't getting, the education that I wanted them to get, and it was affecting and I feel for the Spanish-speaking kids as well. It's none of the kids' fault. It's clear that there's a bunch of people moving here and not encouraging their kids to assimilate. And after learning this, I'm like, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe our government knew this. This is where my tinfoil hat brain goes. Maybe our government knew this, and that's why they opened the border, the floodgates, and just let so as whoever wanted to come in because they were like, you know what, we need some more diversity. They're a little bit more, even though, like I said, their life expectancy did lower because after the COVID and everything, maybe they knew. All the good things we all stereotype about Hispanics, Latinos, and on top of that, they have like longer life expectancies. They'll be they'll work and all the jobs we won't work, which I just think is absolute bullshit. Personally, as somebody, my grandma came here and got two master's degrees, and it's kind of it's kind of annoying whenever people talk about how Hispanics can come here and do all the jobs we won't do. My grandma taught for decades and she was a teacher. She taught many people and she got 2 master's degrees. And like I just doing the jobs that well, teaching is a job that most people don't want to do. That's for sure. But anyways, I just really wonder how the classifications of races play into this too. In diversity in nature is key. That's something with permaculture, the more diverse, the better. And it just makes sense to me that that is true with humans too, right? Because like inbreeding is one of the worst things one could do. And that is becoming more apparent. That's something some people don't want to talk about. When you look at the NIH, the NAS, is that what they call it? Whatever Britain's, oh, forgive me, whatever their public health system is over there, most of their special needs services are being taken by a certain population who is marrying their cousins generation after generation after generation so much, and they've been immigrating there for a while. And I'm not saying this about all Muslims, I'm not saying it about all of them, okay? But some of them are causing like they and then they have child after child after child, literally like there's documentaries about this. We're like 4, 5, 6, 7 children severely affected because they believe that's what they're supposed to do. And it's just something that like so if that's the worst case scenario, brothers and cousins and sisters, inbreeding generation after generation, people think like a brother and a sister having a baby equals automatic defects. It doesn't necessarily, and I'm not encouraging it. I'm just saying, I was like, you can't like I've known second cousins that married and had babies, um, and I'm not encouraging it. I'm just saying like it's legal because it isn't known to cause. It's like generation after generation doing that is what the issue is. And so what would be the opposite of that, intermixing, not being like I'm only going to procreate with somebody of this exact and even better, keep the money in the family type thing. And the royals showed it, royal white people, royal would it be Spanish even? Or I think it was the white people, Habsburg. Inbreeding was going on for the same reasons. They thought they just wanted to like keep it in the family. So um anyways, like I said, anything could get brought up here. Dear God. My son's out there lifting weights, and I don't know if you heard that. It's just so diversity in nature is key when it comes to good health. And I something that I've been just thinking about more is like Hispanic people are mixed race. They are indigenous and whoever colonized them, right? And that's something that people just don't take into account often. Even I, as somebody who is a quarter Hispanic, and like I said, like a good chunk of that, it makes sense. Half of that, 13-ish% of that is indigenous, right? So, anyways, I am done with my notes. And if anybody it's funny, people are asking me saying I'm boring and then asking if I breathe, saying I'm talking too much, saying I'm talking too little. Why mixed feelings? It's actually quite easy to learn Spanish. Just keep going, practice whenever you can, however you can. Oh, I wish it was. For me, conjugating verbs is extremely hard. I really did try Z. I even took Spanish in college. I tried. I wanted to learn Spanish. I lived in South Florida for years. I really wanted to identify as a little Latina for a little while. Trust me, conjugating verbs is extremely hard. English is way easier to learn, in my opinion. And I know I didn't have to learn it as a second language, but it is harder to write. I'm sure English has a lot of stupid rules when it comes to the written, how things are spelled. I understand that, but conversationally, you don't have to conjugate verbs. And if you're unaware of that, you have to conjugate every single verb. And it has different endings. Like valamos is like here we go. That's like we go. And it's like there's something for like I go, you go, he, she goes, they go, we go. There's like 5 different endings to balemos. It's like balan, balim. I don't even see. I can't do it. Balan, balo. I can't. And like then there's different endings to memorize. There's several different kinds of endings. It's not just oh ah, ah, yan. There's like some that are different than other. And then you have to know which endings to use on which verbs. That is so incredibly hard for somebody that speaks English only. So I think if you move to a country that has a national language, you should learn to speak the language. I don't like going to my ATM and having to click English in small town Kentucky at the ATM. I'm sorry, I don't. If that makes me hateful to you, I'm sorry, but I know I'm not, because I treat everybody the same. But I think that you can keep saying Spanish is easy. Like I said, I took it in middle school, high school, and college and conjugating the verbs, and then how people that speak Spanish make fun of you if you have an accent at all, and they go a million miles a minute, even when you tell them to slow down because you're still learning and you know un poquito, and they don't. And they make fun of you and mock you if you have any kind of accent, but they can have an accent all day long while they speak English. It's the truth. Like you're allowed to have an accent when you speak English, but for some reason, when you're an English native speaker, you're like shit on. If you have an accent, you can't roll your R's. So that's another reason why. It's very discouraged. My uncle made fun of me. He took to Portuguese. He took to Spanish. He learned Portuguese. Um, yeah, that's BS. That thing. All right, Spanish. What are you saying, Fendi? How are you doing, Fendi? Hey. Okay. Portuguese is not easy to learn. Do they conjugate verbs in Portuguese too? And I think Portuguese and Spanish are beautiful. My husband, excuse me, ew. My uncle ended up marrying an Argentine woman, and I was told, I don't know for sure, Argentine Spanish is the most beautiful Spanish. They're just like extra like cha la la with it and stuff. And it did sound beautiful to me. So there's that too. There's different dialects, just like with English. Like and there's a different kind of Spanish that's like from Europe. Spain Spanish is different, literally has like a whole other letter or two, and then the Latin American Spanish. A lot of people don't know this, and like to say that it's like easy to learn. Is everybody's going to be different. Some people do take to it. My friend did. I had a friend who did, and she was like talking with my uncle and my dad, and I was proud of her, like good for her. But like some of us just don't. And but I think if I moved to a country, I would at least learn the basics. I do know, I can count like 1 to 1,000. I can say where's the bathroom, what I want to drink, what do you want to drink. I can say a lot in Spanish. I think that they should at least be able to work with people, and it's a miracle. It's just like every time I'm on a long road trip, I'm like, it is like a miracle. More people don't unalive from bad driving here, and it's a miracle that there aren't more accidents in the workplace from people not being able to speak the same language. It's not good. I can't tell you how many times there was somebody yelling in Spanish on the radio, like about a jam or something on the conveyor belt, and it was like extra chaotic because most people didn't know what they were saying. Okay. And in other countries, they don't allow that. I guess at Amazon, you have to know English. At least now. I'm saying that's BS that things are in Spanish and that they even offer it. Thanks, Fendi. Yeah, it's really annoying. English or Spanish, and even I'm not kidding. I think it says Spanish first. Oh, no, no, I don't know how you say hello in Portuguese. You see that love language stuff, I used to believe in it. "Hey, Simeon, how are you doing?" I read that book years and years ago, and I think it can be somewhat helpful, but no, it's like, let's be real, every man's love language is touch, okay? And it's just some old Christian guy wrote that book, and I just feel a certain way about old Christian guys right now. So, like, I think I even mention it on my videos that are, like, members only, like, that I have right now, that I made years ago. So I think it can be useful, the theory of being like, this is how this person prefers affection. You know what I mean? But like I was just telling this to my son, I'll say this every day till the day I die. Like the best relationship advice is universal. There's no advice that's like just for men, just for women. When it comes to being in a partnership with somebody, especially for your whole life, like it is always the same. Like both people that like men need respect to be loved. Well, like so do women. But I do understand why that is said so much because it seems to be lost upon a lot of women. Well, I appreciate that, Z Franho. I appreciate your encouragement, but like I do disagree with you. I listen to Spanish, Shakira's old albums. Donde Están los Ladrones is my favorite Shakira album, and, am I saying the wrong album name? But anyways, I try, even listen to music and, eh, yeah, conversationally, it's really hard, and I've heard that to learn a language, ideally, you really immerse yourself in it, and, like, I felt like I kind of did that in freaking Hialeah, Florida. If you don't know what Hialeah is, it's, like, a really big part of Miami, and there's part neighborhoods in Hialeah where, like, literally everything is in Spanish. Billboards literally everything is Spanish, you know? You walk into a business, they just speak Spanish to you. And I think that's cool. And I think that should like stay. Like that's cool that that part of Florida always has been like that and it always should be, I think. But like I didn't like seeing the same changes starting to take place in the small southern Indiana town, even though I was made fun of. And people, and I'm not trying to like play the victim card, it's just the truth. People would constantly ask me why I was so pasty and pale and why my hair was so dark. And you know, and just like make fun of me being pasty and pale. And it's something that I think wouldn't probably happen as much now because we just have different representation with the internet. That's like it's just funny to me too. People with dark skin in countries where most people have dark skin, they're all bleaching their skin. I shouldn't say they all are, but you know, it's like a trend. And I guess people here are starting to do it. And then there's people from like Africa and Jamaica and these other countries where they're like, I know Africa, the continent, but you know what I mean, trying to warn them, like, you don't wanna be using these bleach creams, they're so bad for you, and then white girls like me, they just wanna get a tan, especially in the winter time, you know? Especially when they're gonna wear their white wedding dress, they, like, can't wait to get darker skin. I'm next day over to the east. Are you talking about West Virginia, Rexter, if you're still in here? Not my woman. She cooks, cleans, raises babies, washes laundry, does dishes, cooks. Well, that's nice, reasonable. I hope you help her sometimes because even if it's, and I don't know, for all I know, you work like 70 hours a week, but you know, if you can help her, I hope you help her. Lean on God, not on your understanding. Jesus can heal you. God is close to the heartbroken. He is their only refuge. Go through the narrow path through Jesus to eternal life, not the wide one. Well, I appreciate that, Ivy. And anybody that wants to talk about God and having faith, I appreciate that. Learned the language, listen to its music. Um, you're an indie organical chemist. That's cool. Indy is a neat city. I'm from Louisville, but then I was like raised mostly in southern Indiana, like not that far from Louisville. But then I lived in Louisville a lot as an adult. My Hispanic wife dyes her blonde hair. Her hair blonde to be a white woman. The black women in Indy dye their blonde to imitate white women. Yeah, and I think it's cool when you can play around with your hair color. I used to do that more when I was younger. I think that that's fun, you know, and it's just like self-expression and everything. But like it, yeah, it isn't lost upon me what you're saying. Acid burn, how are you feeling today? Are you feeling better? You're on Dale Hollow Lake. Oh, I know exactly where that is, Rooster. That's so cool. I went there a lot when I was a kid, and women are never happy. Women with curly hair want straight hair. Women with straight hair want curly hair. Oh my gosh, I've said that to so many young women. Women with dark skin want light skin. Women with light skin want dark skin. Yes, exactly. That curly hair thing. I've said that like, um, yes, totally. It's sad too when people can't just be happy with themselves, and then you miss out on. I don't want to play into that like hit the wall theory, but you know what I mean. When you are your most youthful and usually beautiful and you're like your most insecure and then but I think that is part of what makes like so many women so attractive and beautiful middle aged even with some signs of aging. It's just like that confidence that women like in men too. Once again, do you like pizza? Hey, Zeus, did you recommend the Hispanic Paradox topic? I think language should be taught beginning in preschool. Up until fifth grade elementary, learning five languages Monday through Friday would be so advantageous for the average person, in my opinion. Hey, Zeus, that would be ideal. Like, most of Europe is bilingual, if not trilingual. So I agree with you. We are just so dumbed down. They took what was, I believe, for a period of time, one of the best countries, but, like, was that just all, propaganda? And not anymore, but, like, you know, as far as opportunities, education, just it's such a big country with so many different climates and regions, and I just think it has so much to offer in so many ways. But, you know, now they're, like, bleeding us dry. It's, really unfortunate. It's not gonna be I just I don't know, when you see, like, how good we used to be at math compared to now, and it's like, yeah, all along, we all probably should have been learning Spanish, and then what's happening now would have been a lot easier for everybody. I learned the Hebrew alphabet by listening to the song on YouTube. Good for you, Joshua. YouTube is so great to learn so much stuff. I learned Arabic in the military. Oh, Rackster. Wow. Now, is it true? That's a hard language, right? Um, When Jesus, listen to me say Jesus, when Jesus will return, where is he gonna pray? That's a good question, AJ. I find it odd that any American would think it's cool to walk in any place in America and feel foreign, Easy said. Yeah, are you talking about in Hialeah, what I was talking about? I just think, we have a special melting pot, and part of that is having, like, whether it's a city with neighborhoods where, like, there's a Chinatown, there's like, and that's what people say to justify the all white towns. And that doesn't make any sense because even in the neighborhoods like Chinatown, there's still like other ethnicities, other races, however you want to call it, like living there. It's not literally just 100% Asian people. And it's just part of that. And there's a bunch of people that happened to settle around here a few hundred years ago that were mostly Scottish, a lot of English, and there's still a lot of that here. But that's not to say it should literally never change. For it to change in a decade, that's not, it's just like not healthy for anybody. And then the resources, that's another thing. It's like the rentals were literally impossible to come by in that small town. And they literally bus people there to work at the factories knowing that they're, in my opinion, allegedly, supposedly, this happened so many times. I knew somebody who was a manager at one of these factories, warehouses, and they knew Spanish, so they hired a bunch of people for them, and then they had to go and fire all of them a few months later because they're like, "Oh, they're using deceased people's social security numbers." Literally a few years later, it was the exact same thing. Literally busloads of them just a few months later. Don't tell me, in my opinion, they don't know that. It's just like that's why they love the turnover rate at Amazon. These big companies know what to do to not have such a high turnover rate, but if they can keep the turnover rate high, they don't have to pay nearly as much in benefits and maybe even like things like health insurance because it takes so long to kick in, like 3 months. Um, Let me see. Sorry, I went too far up in the chat. Indiana sucks, Rooster said. Well, you said it, Rooster. I love Brown County personally. I'll probably go back there sometime in my life, but like the people in Kentucky are so nice. And I say that a lot on my channel. Like, of course, there's going to be shitty people everywhere, but I've lived in California, all over Florida, both coasts of Florida and in the middle. And yeah, California, Florida. Indiana, Kentucky. And Kentucky people are so nice. And I uploaded a shorts recently. This pretty big YouTuber, he said that he's like, I wasn't expecting it, but Kentucky people are so nice and it's a good place to visit. I think my thing fell down. I think language should be taught beginning in preschool up until okay, see, I went dressed up so nice. I'm in a sweatshirt. um Indiana's badass. Liberal in Cali, Colorado, Florida, Indiana is the best. Oh, I'm glad you like it organical. Well, Indy is such a cool city. I don't know. It was like for the money, I didn't like what we were paying for the small town we were in. But if I was to live in Indiana, it would be a city. It wasn't Columbus where I lived, but I spent a lot of time in Columbus, Indiana. And that's a special place. If you guys don't know, there's a lot of architecture. You just be surprised. Like people think there's not a lot going on, but Indiana and Kentucky are often considered like the crossroads of America. So there is a lot of industry, a lot of headquarters, just a lot. Maybe that's why I only date Black women, always attracted to the opposite. I recommend praising. Okay, there's a lot of Bible thumpers, which is completely fine. Like I said, you're fine with me, but this. I'm sure there's streams where they're like, there's prayer circles or whatever. Children are better at learning languages because they are like sponges. Joshua said, yes, I agree. And yeah, it is a shame that we don't try to teach our children more. Texas has zero income tax. Um, I didn't know that about Texas. Hmm. English is a primary and original language of America. Jeb said, I have sorry, I'm just checking on my kid. I don't hardly ever stream during the day, but I was like, gosh, I've been so wiped out the last few nights. I was afraid I might not feel like it tonight, but I think I am. I'm a genius at all mathematics now. How I got to do is ask AI. Astrid Burns said, yeah, right. Trump is doing exactly what we need. I might not like everything he does, but we will have our country again. I hope so, Organical. I hope you're right. You're in Jackson, Mississippi, Maria. Is that what you're saying? Listening to Americans complaining is disgusting. You people have no idea what a hard life is. Trackside, I say all the time how we're spoiled rotten here. I don't what exactly are you talking about? Like, what are we complaining about that's disgusting you? I'm just wondering. I am in Kentucky, one of the poorest states in our whole country. There are a lot of people here who like it is like a third world country. People live in like it's like shanty towns and shit. People live in sheds. People live in places that are falling apart, roofs caving in. I've looked at people, seen people live in houses where a tree was on it. Like I'm not kidding. Um, there's always been a lot of poor people all over Appalachia, especially since they ripped the coal industry out from underneath them, the one thing that gave anybody any money here ever. Leo, I don't like ramen. It's too much sodium. Thank you, Ted. Math is easy for some people, Joshua. Acid Burn, oh, I just saw you sent a membership. Thank you, Acid Burn. Sent a membership to CEO High Life. Oh, that's cool. Thank you, Acid Burn. And congratulations, CEO. Um, Scotiabank. I don't know what you mean about that, Maria. It's what like haggis? Read the book Revelation, a book of Revelation. Blah, blah, blah. Yes, I know. I've been trying to read this different version of the Bible, and now I'm like discouraged because everybody tells me not to. I'm sorry, I let old English stuff like I can't do it. I'm reading this modern English version, and everybody tells me that's a bunch of crap. But how do you know what you're reading is like the right version? You know, nobody really knows. I'm sorry. It's just how I feel about it. And I think that we'll never know all of the books of the Bible. They probably destroyed some of the more important ones. You can definitely learn Spanish. Your English is literally impeccable. You don't have issues with languages at all. Oh, Z Franho. Everybody's different though. I really do appreciate the encouragement, but trust me. I've had mercury poisoning to the point and lead and a bunch of other I had IV chelation for 6 weeks. I've had a lot that affected my memory. Um, ID Brandla, what bomb Latina are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. 6 months to get medical insurance or on most jobs or vacation pay. Yeah, Joshua. And then, okay, so I worked at Amazon a few times as well as my husband, and they'll hire you as seasonal and you will be seasonal indefinitely. My husband was there for like a solid 9 months seasonally. That should be illegal. No. And you don't get holiday pay. So if you work on Thanksgiving, like you don't get holiday pay. There's a bunch of reasons they keep people seasonal. Nobody keeps a job more than 3 to 5 years. Organical chemist, that is one thing that has changed significantly. Not saying it plays into wage stagnation, but it's just like all these major changes. Like people used to stay at jobs more so for a longer time, and now companies they like it. They don't want you to be there your whole life. They don't want to give you a gold watch at the end of your 25-year, you know, it's not that they don't know, it's that they choose to ignore it. It keeps a turnover of low wages. Yes, Jesus, I definitely agree. And okay, so for the I'm sorry if I missed any comments. Will you please repeat it? I want to get all the way to the end. Old English is great. If you read Shakespeare, you read Old English. It was called Victorian English. Yeah, Joshua. And even when I read Shakespeare, I don't like having to stop and like study what I'm reading to figure it out. And then like I'm just not as mentally competent as I used to be. I mean it. Like I used to be a gifted clarinet player. Even then, learning Spanish wasn't easy for me. Okay, so I have a severely autistic son, and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I was never diagnosed with anything, but I definitely think I'm atypical neurologically somehow. And I've said this a lot. My spatial awareness sucks. I have to drive somewhere literally 10 times before even simple directions before I can remember how to get to it. I had trouble learning north, south, east, west. East, west, when I was a kid. I literally I just couldn't grasp this, and I don't know how to explain it other than I just couldn't do it. I was, like, in gifted English and writing, but math and spatial awareness things were so hard for me. I couldn't tell an analog clock. I, like, faked it. I excel and that's why girls mask things. They just, like, excel in what they excel in and, like, kinda, like, gloss over the things that are hard and, like, when you're good at most things and you're, like, really, really, really bad at a few, like, I was in speech therapy too. Like, I definitely, like, I was one of 2 kids that was in this gifted reading program, and I was one of 2 kids in speech therapy in the same first grade class. Like, I think that just says a lot. That's a good little snapshot of how my brain works. And even like nonverbal people like my son can have very strong strengths and talents. And that's one thing that is such a shame that like we all miss out on when we just treat people like, they can't do anything because they don't fit into the same box as everybody else their age. The Orthodox Bible has all the books and they removed some from the original KJV. Oh, Fendi, I didn't know that about the Orthodox. I wish people would know their history. There's a man named William Tyndale. That was burned at the stake so we could all have the Holy Bible to our access. Old English is great. Okay, I already read that one. Sorry. Oh, Layla, I only kiss my husband. I love you all, but not like that. Is the word sex in the Bible? I don't think so, TWC, right? Can somebody answer that? Sorry, guys. He is so stinking cute. William Tyndale stole the Bible and translated it from Greek language for us to know God. Well, thank you. And I don't know if you've been in here before, organic chemist, but I'm definitely not religious, but I do believe in the Bible and Jesus Christ. I've just had some until William Tyndale did that and burned at the stake for all of us and sacrificed his life, we didn't have the ability to know God. Well, and beyond that, organical chemist, it was the preacher in the pulpit who was telling everybody what was in the Bible, right? So it's even thicker than less access because people just had less books altogether before the printing press and everything. Like it was something only really wealthy people had access to. And, it's just crazy when you think about all the knowledge at our fingertips and we just like waste our lives away. When people like Abraham Lincoln were walking like 7 miles to get one book to learn about one subject. And, if we all had that kind of, like, thirst for knowledge myself and, like, I can't read like I used to be able to read. I was a voracious reader. I broke records in, like, what was it, like, weekly reader reading wise whatever. They, like, ran out of prizes because I read so many books. They didn't have more prizes for me because I, like, got all reached all the tiers. Anyways, what were we talking about? So it's the preachers in the pulpit, they're the ones that were the really manipulative ones, and they're the ones that started the like, you give me 10% of what you have to get into heaven stuff. And which there's scripture about beware of men who ask for money in my name, right? I don't consider myself Christian. I'm very spiritual. Like I said, I do. Okay, so I don't want to offend anybody, but like this is just how I look at it. Like we are all connected. All religions are connected. All beliefs of God are connected and they're like the same God. So my God, what I believe in, he's not going to he, I don't really call it he. I don't know why I said that. My God that I believe in is a higher power where we all come from. We all go back to his energy, just it never really dies in that sort of way. The energy that is our souls. And it's all the same, and I don't believe that God would punish me or anybody for not believing in a specific book and saying a specific thing about a specific person. That's just how I feel about it. Really, they don't offer more money because when I worked at Amazon and warehouse, they offered maybe a few dollars more bonus. Sandy, I'm sorry, I don't know exactly what you're saying that to. They don't offer more money when you get hired on full time? Is that what you're saying? Or like permanent? You speak very fast. Your oratory skills are perfect. Well, thank you, Elo. That's really nice. That's one reason why I did decide to start a YouTube channel, even though some people like Nick Fuentes don't think I should. I'm just disappointed because I did like listening to him, and it's like it's disappointing. And I want you guys to know any ears I have, like as a woman, it's very disappointing to like think that, oh, this is a man, a good man. Like we need good men so badly. We do. We need them so badly. Any woman can lay down and procreate and push a baby out. That doesn't make her a good mother, right? And so like I don't mean to make it sound like women are so like their roles as mother, like to be a good mother is just as important. Like we need more women that want to be good mothers. And then it's like when you look up to a man or you're like, appreciate his input and commentary. And then part of that is, I don't think you should do anything at all. And it's because, oh my gosh, I've lost the word again. I was thinking it the other day. I'm like, and I said less than and inadequate. It comes from a space of where they feel so inadequate with their own selves that half the population is like a threat to them. It's not so much that they think we are so less. It's really not that. It's like if that was so, it would just play out in that way. It would just be evidence. The British Bible Society is the reason why there's only 66 books because they wanted to save cost and money and they wanted a thinner Bible. I think they probably took out like the Book of Sophia is one that I've heard about. Like I think they definitely like there's a possible and I once again I don't want to like I don't mean to step on any toes. I'm saying this like in the most loving way possible. I think it's possible Jesus might have been married at one point. Like who knows for sure, you know? Or phrases like knowing someone or lying with someone, and it also uses terms like adultery or fornication, depending on the context. The language and terminology vary greatly across, I added that word, very across different translations. Thank you, organical chemist. Hey, Boston, George, how are you? I can't reel after 3 drinks. So do you mean read, Maria? I would read about sports, but I hated everything when I was a child. Oh, that's sad, Joshua. I hope you don't feel like that now. That was the Medicae. Am I saying that right, Maria? I know I've heard that word before. Always remember Satan is the god of this world. Yeah, I don't doubt that. There's so much wrong that I do believe there's at the end of a cycle, and I brought it up a lot on my channel. Like there's Sumerian tablets that say like this cycle happens. It happens, it's happened before, it'll happen again. Where you know, the ideal mix is like masculine and feminine. And once you go past that, it's like more masculine. This is talking about like energies, and it just makes sense. And it literally describes in this, like, I don't know how many 1,000-year old cuneiform tablet and stone. It's like um when you go from mixed to male-minded, there's, like, more war, more, you know, bad things in the name of money, sex becomes what it is now. Would you say that infinite regression exists within the concept of God? Sure, infinity is not real, but it could be in the divine sense. Oh gosh, that is such a loaded question. I feel like that's, like, too much for me. Infinite regression exists within the concept of God. Are you trying to say that it's basically, like, something people use as an excuse, or is that a dumb way for me to interpret that? Um, and how do you know infinity is not real? I think that, like, there's more than our human brains can conceive and, like, something to do with different dimensions. When people have near death experiences, they often talk about like time isn't even a thing. And I can't grasp that in my own mind. Nick Fuentes is a conservative commentator who's been around for years, but you probably haven't heard of him because he is so racist, so misogynistic, literally pro NAZI, like literally. So he said he liked, he like respected or looked up to Stalin when in the Tucker Carlson interview a month or two ago. And then I read a comment and was like, well, like there not to say that he was a great person, but he like, you know, his native language wasn't Russian and he rose to the top and like basically saying like there were things to admire about this person. It is just so wild. And I bet any okay, I'm sorry. Nick Fuentes for sure. For him to be the kind of person that's like literally half of the human race can't do anything but be procreators of the human race. But you know, I look aside from the murdering of millions of people. He was actually pretty admirable. That is insane. And yeah, I pray your heart will go back to Jesus. Wish I could talk to you more. Organic chemist. Oh, thank you. Any prayers are definitely appreciated. Hypernova, not everybody in Kentucky has an accent. A lot of people talk like me. It's more like Midwestern, which is like not much of an accent, right? And then there's some people that are very Southern. It's funny. People from here, it's like that. People that were like born and raised in the county I live in, it's can go either or. No more of men going out to get that gallon of milk, Joshua. The Apocrypha was in the original 1611 Bible. I've heard that before. I think somebody once told me to look that up. Sounds like she's from Ohio. Well, I spent like half my life in Indiana. And sometimes my voice is so annoying to me when I re-listen. You guys are all saints. So I've had a hole plugged twice here. I had a bad root canal and the dentist made a hole in my sinus, removing a calcified root of the tooth. It was like calcified into my jawbone. But anyways, um, and I just have sinus issues. I get like congested. Joshua said I read the original and the OT in the Hebrew. Are you talking about the original Bible? I prayed for you to Jesus. Your heart is so close. Oh, organical. That's so sweet. Um, I'm 23 minutes away. Okay, honey. We all have our crosses to carry, but some are heavier than others. Yes, Fergus, I agree with that. But yeah, nobody's life is easy, right? And even the people who seem to have easy, blessed lives, their lives are made harder because of it. They tend to struggle in certain ways because once again, from adversity comes strength. Ignorance of what makes Bible books authentic is not an excuse. If it can't be verified, it is better to not have it in the canon. You can read anything you want, John said. Thanks for saying that, John. Read up about the Anunnaki and the Armana tablets. Okay, Joshua, thank you. I love all recommendations. I'm doing this live right now because somebody recommended the Hispanic Paradox. And when I looked it up, there's like 10-year-old videos. I'm like, this is so interesting because personally, I've looked up, like, every once in a while there's research on people that live to be 100 or more. What is that called? Centurions. And then they'll find common threads in areas where people live long. And it tends to be diet and social. It's always the same thing. And I've heard like Mediterranean diet, a seasonal diet, like in the area in the Mediterranean where a lot of people live to be over 100, they eat seasonally. They don't go to Walmart and eat the same crap all year round. And no, I do it too. So I'm not saying like that, but they have like markets and eat things while they're in season. I skipped one of your comments. Fendi said they don't even type correctly. They scare people and put fear in them to pay 10%. The British Bible Society is the reason why there's only 66 books. Okay, I did read that. Um, what is the correct way, Fendi? Now I'm curious. But yeah, I just think especially now, oh my gosh, like I would rather just give, and I do understand the sentiment. And I literally, like, I've had people tell me, like, when I was furloughed, and just before, like, it's good to join a church and have the community. And I know they mean like a genuine community, but let's be real, people also mean like a financial fallback when and if you need it, right? And the lady calling for formula made it apparent, like, and that's what churches, they are like for their congregations only. And I think like, uh, as beautiful of a thing as that can be, I just don't think that it's genuine a lot of the time. And every single homeschooling mom that I'm sorry, I think I knew one person that didn't complain about their church, and literally dozens of women that were faithful churchgoers. They all complained about the politics in their church and how people were treated based upon how much money they gave and how much of their time they gave. That was also a big one. If Josh can read Hebrew after dropping out of eighth grade, you can learn Spanish. See, Fran, how you are so funny. Hello, Ari. How are you? And hi, Ben. How are you? Fendi, have you answered me? If it was meant for the priest and widows, if I can remember correctly. That's interesting. Oh, that's so interesting. Hmm. Okay. I should probably be going now. I don't get on lives a lot during the day, but I want to get back on here between 8 and 9 tonight. That's Eastern time, like 4 to 5 hours from now. If as the church reaches that Yeshua did away with the law, that then means no tithing since tithing was part of the law. That's interesting. The word for church in Greek was I'm not going to say that right, ecclesia, which meant congregation, not a building. Right. And it said a church is anywhere where one or more people come together to worship God, right? So that could be any house. A lot of Amish people, they have church like every other week or once a month or something like that. But then they do have like weekly worship in their house. Yeah, my church was kind of like that with politics, Fendi said. Hebrew applies to the Old Testament. Greek is what the New Testament circulated as, so both languages would be needed. You're genuinely intelligent and good financial shape. You have the world at your fingertips. You're attractive. You can absolutely learn Spanish. Trust me. See, you're so nice. And how do you know I'm in good financial shape? But thank you. Thanks to my husband working his ass off, and they moved him. And I was so scared they were going to move him to like Wisconsin or something. And I was crying. But they didn't. They didn't move him far away. Thank God. They didn't move him any farther away than he was. I've been called an extremist for Jesus, and I could confirm with you that churches are a dangerous place for either side of the believing. So you don't attend a church, Organical? And, thank you for listening and not taking offense to any of what I said because I don't mean any offense to any Christians because I know they're some of the best people I've ever known were Christians, you know? So, like, I think there's good and bad people of all faiths, but, there's a church every mile out here. There sincerely is. There's so many churches, and, oh, Joshua, I got injured by a 2009 H1N1 shot, and then I realized when I was 10 years old, I had also gotten injured by an MMR booster. Nobody made the connection back then. I was, like, sick for 6 weeks straight, going to child hospitals to get tested for all this kinda childhood cancer. It was crazy. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. Um Okay, okay. Be careful. I am Yehudi. I've never heard of that before, Joshua. But yes, if they tithe, they got to follow all the law. And mostly these Protestant churches are doing tithes, and a lot of them support the no country. Yes, Fendi, right. Do you know Blonde in the Belly of the Beast, Fendi? You probably don't know her because she doesn't make content like she used to, but she's like a conservative, very right leaning. Like she moved to Idaho. Um, I loved that chick for years. I loved Blonde. She has a podcast with Matt Christian. Oh my God, what she said about black people leading Catholic churches, like the way she talked about black people in this post on that was an X post. I was like, gosh, the way okay, so like it really opened my eyes. I really didn't think that a lot of people were like that, but I guess most of them are. You could have reacted to the are you talking about thimerosal or mercury? Yeah, Susan, especially in the 2009 one, it had a lot of that in it, and I had the last dose of the vial, literal the last dose, which if they didn't shake it up right with every dose they gave before, they got out of it, you know, like that could have a lot of thimerosal from what I heard. And I'm not giving any medical advice. This is only an opinion. Supposedly, you know, this is just shit I read. That shot had enough mercury to poison a 200-pound man by the EPA standards. But, you know, the second most deadly element to man isn't deadly once you bypass all immune defenses and inject it into the bloodstream. And you guys, I don't know if you know who Andrew Cutler is, but he came up with a chelation protocol, the only chelation protocol for like at home use, which I couldn't ever venture into doing because it's like involves taking stuff like every 2 hours. It's just too much. And, he had a Facebook group, a book he wrote. I joined that Facebook group. If you know who that is, that's like a pretty big deal. I like didn't personally talk to him a lot, but like we exchanged comments on threads and like he was one of these people. So he wrote a book about how to chelate. Literally everything was heavy metals, literally everything. Poor eyesight, heart issues, literally anything, eczema, everything was heavy metals, okay, according to this man. And then he was kind of in the group, honestly. I know that's kind of mean for me to say because he has since passed. Just one of those academics that's like, he knew it all. And I just thought it was interesting because he passes away from a heart attack at like the age of 60, 62. And it's like, well, according to you, you should have been fine because like you used your protocol and that's like literally the cause of all health issues. And it's just really interesting how that seems to happen to a lot of people that come up with these protocols. You know, they'll come up with a way to like combat yeast or something. And then it's like literally everything under the sun is caused by that issue. Anyways. Church is not a bad place, but you should find a Bible teaching church who adheres to the scripture, John said. Yes, that is good advice, John. I've heard people say the same thing. Like if the, preacher's really so isn't okay, so what is the term for that? Because I looked it up and it was just like, gosh, I'm it's escaping me now because it's like not Baptist or Presbyterian. There was like a term that I looked up because I didn't know it was technically, and that basically was what it is. It's like you just read the Bible. Everybody reads the Bible word for word. Jesus was probably a false messiah since his movement ended in the fourth century, fulfilling Acts chapter 5, 34, 39. Well, I don't have an opinion on that, CG. Um, I don't know. See, I don't want to come off as like wishy-washy. I just feel like if so many people do believe in Jesus as God, God's son, the part of the Holy Trinity, would like uh I just think it has to be true, and that might come off as very naive to people, but like I said, I think it's, like, all the same. Revelation 22:16 states, "I, Jesus, have sent my angel to give you this testimony for the churches. I am the root and the offspring of David, the bright morning star." Organical chemist, I've been attending a few churches, but it's a real battle to find a good group. The non-denominational I've been attending for 10 years is just not deep enough. It's very surface level. It's meant to bring people to Jesus. I've been searching for something deeper. Well, I hope you find it organical, especially in stay away from medicine and the doctors. Joshua, so bringing it back around to this subject, and it's funny to me, I didn't say this, but it's funny to me that they'd be like, oh, Latin and Hispanic people have better outcomes, like just not just longevity, but better outcomes overall in a lot of ways, even though they have less access, even though they go to the doctor less. And as somebody who was injured twice by, preventative medicine, and like it was my first thought was that's probably one reason why they do have better outcomes. And, did you guys see the woman in Indiana who was turned away in the labor and delivery? She was there for hours, and they're like, "You're not progressing enough. I can feel the baby's head." And they sent her away, and she gave birth 8 minutes away down the road in the car. Oh my gosh. And then they were like, the doctor and the nurse involved in her care have been terminated. And she's like, I never saw a doctor. There wasn't a doctor that ever examined her, was with her at all. Like clearly they were just talking to the nurses, which if you've ever given birth in a hospital, you know what I'm talking about. And like, unless there was a special case going on, they literally spend like literally the last minute of birthing with you. The nurses do everything for you. And then it's like the baby coming out, the doctor comes into the room like as the head is coming out. That was my experience. And they leave soon after. And it's like nurses do it all. And I was like, acid burn, they left so many books out of the Bible that it is ridiculous. I believe that too. Phase, I do a lot of different things. I'm kind of all over the place. I do a lot of subjects like this, social commentary, just different subjects, but I also do content on Kentucky. Have God lead you in prayer to a community that would feed your spirit. He can and will go before you and make your path straight. John said, thank you, John. Risen, the true bright and morning star root and offspring of David's star and shield of David, Jacob's ladder. I don't understand that. Oh, I'm not forcing religion. I'm not religious, King Bob Frog. I just don't force anything on anybody. So if people are religious, I let them express it. A lot of people are going to Orthodox and leaving Protestant churches. Yes, Fendi, that's very interesting. Oh my gosh. I am feeling so bad. I am forgetting the Orthodox Christian's name, and he is like one of my biggest supporters now. I forget his freaking name. See, my memory is so bad. Somebody has a really good Orthodox channel where he talks to other Orthodox Christians. Did YouTube hide my comment? He said, "Oh, Lydia, I found the video about EPA spraying forever chemicals in the vegetables and fruit got approved by the Trump administration." I didn't see that at all. But it must have showed up because it showed up when I just looked. But yeah, and that doesn't surprise me. They have their own. I don't know how true this is. I just heard years ago Monsanto, the company Monsanto, they only have organic food at their like cafeteria for their employees. I want to doubt that. I'm sure they like have methods of not having fluoride in their water everywhere they go and they eat organic food and then they make it like the bioengineered ingredients. I still buy stuff with it in it, but it's like and they mentioned that about corn being anti-inflammatory, beans, corn, and rice. And I wonder about the GMOs. And when you go from your South Central American country, I'm under the impression we have more GMOs here. Definitely more than in Europe. A lot of people say like when they go to Europe, they don't have gut issues and um, the pasta brand Berea. I always buy that because I mean, there's been times where we bought great value pasta because we were like that poor, but I usually can spend the extra dollar on Berea and get non-GMO pasta. And yeah, I can't like roll my R's or do the with the L's. God is still working, the servants do not work in vain. I would hope that believers would not forsake hope for doubt, John said. Do you base your worldview on the one with the highest consensus? Jay said, well, it's a mix that matters a lot, but it's also based on personal experiences, of course. It's 78 degrees in Florida. Oh, 38 degrees in Kentucky. I love it. Oh, I'm glad that you do acid burn, but I do like a change of seasons. Now, today it is like bitterly cold. I didn't want to go. I have to give the chickens water every day. So, like, I have to go feed the chickens and walk in there and give them a bowl of water. And that's like good to force me to, like, get my kid out, and then, I let him play for a few minutes, but, like, I cried when I spent Christmas in Florida. Like, I just wanna wear a sweater. Monsanto's own all the seeds, and you can't grow their seeds without their chemicals. Organical, yes. Oh, something that just reminded me, something broke my heart so bad. It was like, I forget what state, Idaho or Iowa. It was farmers coming together at a city hall to talk about these policies that are absolutely destroying American farms. Corporations set the price. I guess that's not the way it always used to be, but it's like they convince farmers to let these corporations set the price of what they sell things for. And like they're getting less for everything. They're having to put more into, they're like getting, it's like not profitable for a lot of them. And this one woman said that she knew 5 farmers who had committed suicide, and I'm just thinking, like, I remember hearing that about when they introduced the GMOs into India. They sold GMO seeds to Indian farmers, supposedly, allegedly. A lot of them, once they realized that they couldn't collect the seed from that year's crop and use it again, that's, like, part of it. It's like, literally infertile seeds, like, you can't use their seeds won't grow anything. And then I think there's also clauses where like you literally, even if they are fertile, you can't plant them again. I think that, they literally own the patent on the seeds. So even the seeds that that thing produces, they own that. And so when Indian farmers supposedly suffered so much from that and were devastated, they took their own lives. And if a farmer in the Midwest tries to corn that is not on Monsanto seed, the corn will not produce nearly as much as a GMO, and the soil is already cooked, so the natural seed will never produce. Yeah, you know all about the corn in Indiana. Hello, children of the earth. Hi, Esau. Flesh cannot inherit the kingdom of heaven, Rizinati said. Sorry, I'm Rizinato. No, Joshua, it does not. Kentucky University, that's cool, Joshua. I'm more of a U of L fan, but that's nice. The world passeth away unless thereof set our eyes to heaven. It's 73 in Phoenix, Arizona. That's perfect, Fendi. Nothing is organic. Yeah, unfortunately, are you talking about like with the way things spread and the wind and everything? It's really unfortunate. One thing that bothered me, hey Pyramid, how are you doing? We always have cows as neighbors my whole life in most of the places I've lived besides apartments and even some apartments. In our first house in Indiana, they would grow corn and then they would like harvest it and put cows out to graze on it. And this guy he would spray glyphosate along the fence line. I think that might be one reason why my dog only lived to be not even 6 years old. And um anyways, I just wondered how healthy is that to grow like GMOs and then let cows graze on it? And how does their meat affect us when that happens? Iowa, they were stopping the water from flowing out there, Joshua. Oh, thank you. Kunar para juven kata banaku is short. Okay. I am going to let you guys go now. I really don't want to, Mr. Carey. Of course, you pop in right when I'm gonna say bye. I do want to get back on here, like at 8 to 9, and I hope you can make it. If you feel well, Mr. Carey, how are you doing? There's so much corruption in the world. It's going to take Trump being a king to get rid of it all. Yeah, I don't think that's ever going to happen. Acid burn, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope he proves me wrong. I really do. I sincerely hope so. Yes, Joshua. So many people talked about that song that I looked it up and listened to it, and I found some cool songs. Like I said, who was it? I can't remember. One of the most famous singers of all time, Etta James? Is that her name? She made a song about Louisville, Kentucky, and then there's some other songs about Louisville that I'm never gonna use in my shorts because they all pronounce it wrong. Because it's Louisville. It's not Louisville. It's Louisville. 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 I know a lot about farming agriculture because I moved to Colorado to grow cannabis, and I learned a lot about organic soil in our earth. That's so cool, organical chemist. Apparently the humidity here, like that you can grow almost anything here, but like certain things, is I knew somebody that moved from Colorado to here to start a mushroom farm. That's one thing. They used to try to grow mushrooms in caves. I think that's funny. They try to heal people from tuberculosis in caves. It's crazy how cannabis opened my eyes to a whole world. That was just my entryway into learning. That's a cool organical chemist. I feel the same way. Hemp, uh, Hemp is like such an amazing plant, and if we could utilize hemp, chelates the soil, we could make the best, strongest biodegradable plastic out of it. It's just a shame. And in my opinion, it's because they patented nylon, and because of a rich man wanting to make money off a patent, they had to like demonize the most useful plant, in my opinion, one of the most useful. Now, there's moringa is like the most nutritionally complete plant, and I've only grown it like yay high, but I really want to get into growing moringa every year because um, it tastes awful. But I've never had the seed pods. I guess you can fry the seed pods, and supposedly that's tastier. My 2,000-pound Black Angus used to come up on the porch and chew. Oh, that's so cute. Acid burn. I love cows. Bye, Forks. Oh, I'm sorry it's been a bad afternoon, Mr. Carey. I'm sorry to hear that. Neil Diamond, Kentucky woman. Yeah. Good cop, bad cop. They are all on the same team for all I know. I don't know what you're talking about, but I agree with you, Vlad. He wrote that song Red, Red Wine. The song that Bob Marley sang, Joshua? Really? I love Bob Marley. Bob Marley's one of those people just every once in a while I've got to listen to. Oh, Fendi, you need to pronounce it better than that. Louisville. There's literally signs that say like Louisville, Louisville, and then like Louisville. Like how do you pronounce it? It's funny. What a look! Oh my gosh, so adorable, even through phone lenses. Oh, tomato, you're too much, but thank you. I never liked marijuana. It only made me sleep. Yeah, Joshua, I've heard that from a lot of people. I feel like that more the older I get. Mushrooms are great. I just started learning before I left Colorado during COVID. Yes, I really love like turkey tail, reishi, a lot of B40 red red wine, Mr. Carey said, or UB40. Is that the name of the band? I'm so lost. Um, well, Fendi, you just lost some brownie points with me. I hate to say it. My mom went to a Bob Marley concert in New York years ago. Oh, Joshua, that'd be so cool to be able to say that you saw him. I saw, Eric Clapton. I saw John Mayer before he became a big douchebag. I don't like John Mayer anymore, and he said that thing what he was no, talk about misogynist. After writing a song like Daughters, and then you're gonna talk about women the way that he did. Um, and, Robert Randolph and the Family Band were playing with Eric Clapton. Oh, they were so good. And then I saw Maroon 5 before they became douchey. Maroon 5's first album, I said it wrong before. It's like, God, I always forget it. Jane is in it, I think. Okay, I'm gonna answer this question, then I'm gonna go. David, I am mostly English, Irish, a quarter Swiss, German side of Switzerland, and a quarter Colombian. He had great music, Bob Marley. Yes. You saw Disturbed in concert? Oh, that must have been a good concert. Every day is a good day with trouble. Do you know why? Because Jesus is a living world must love. Y'all be blessed. Thank you, Paul Christopher. That's very sweet. I hope to see as many of you as possible later in like 4 to 5 hours. I'm going to try to get on closer to 8. I have early mornings and I really, really need to start December. I'm going to have a very lofty goal in the month of December. You guys need to hold me accountable to it.